In today's video, we look at, in my opinion, one of EU4's most fun achievements, known as the Luck of the Irish achievement. Although this isn't the hardest achievement by far in EU4, the majority of EU4 players may struggle to get it, considering it is categorised as hard, and a lot of things can go wrong in this campaign without proper planning. In earlier versions of the game, this achievement was probably one of the hardest achievements, considering you could only pick from a few Irish miners, with a whole lot less mechanics making your game a lot easier. Thankfully though, with the new updates, mere mortals can now get the achievement for themselves. Over the last few weeks, I was able to get this achievement that only 1.9% of players have, streaming it all on Twitch. Therefore today, I want to share with you how I got this achievement, and how you can get it as well. The campaign was definitely eventful, with the ups of beating the significantly larger power of England, and the downs of being in a coalition war against 200,000 troops, nearly getting taken out by France with its vastly superior troops. So without further ado, let's get into how I got the Luck of the Irish achievement. Also, we're trying to hit 75,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you like this sort of content, why not help us out? So to begin with, why on earth did I pick Desmond out of all the Irish nations? To be honest, all the Irish miners are very similar, but some of them are slightly stronger than others. Offaly is the weakest Irish miner, with it having the joint second lowest development, and it's landlocked with England on its door. But you can also get another achievement with them, so if you want a challenge, you can pick them. I, however, went with Desmond for two main reasons. Firstly, Desmond's ideas and traditions are vital for the campaign we want to do, since it has in its ideas morale of armies plus 10%, and minus 10% province war score cost. Both these ideas could actually be really useful when it gets a bit tough. Secondly, I also liked the location of Desmond. Not too close to England that I could get a surprise war at the beginning, and next to Munster where I could easily take the fort. When I started the campaign, the first thing I did was to build up to my force limit. All the other Irish miners were really slow to react, so doing this quickly was vitally important. Once I had a big enough army, I got a non-royal marriage alliance with Offaly as a distraction when fighting in wars, and took out Munster straight away. As I was taking out the Irish miners, I also heavily focused on military points, getting the estates bonus, focusing on military, as well as getting an advisor. The logic here was that in the long run, I'd always be facing superior enemies, so it's better to improve the quality of troops now and get ahead in military technology. Taking the Irish miners out was not a difficult challenge, and in fact I believe many EU4 beginners would be able to do this easily. In less than a decade, in 1453, I'd taken the majority of Ireland with my vassal Silgo. The only three Irish miners that were left were firstly my vastly inferior ally of Offaly, and two Irish nations that had aligned themselves with England. Clearly these people were traitors. After having a fairly easy run so far, the next few years would definitely be far more difficult. So how did I manage to beat the vastly superior England, who were better than me in almost every single way? For the next 10 years, I decided to consolidate my nation and go for an alliance with a powerful ally. Castile, for me, was the obvious choice. Although they were quite far away, they could take out England's historic ally, Portugal, and potentially siege down the European provinces of England. The navy of England could even be distracted by Castile, so this was definitely the perfect ally for me. I also looked at France, Burgundy and Scotland, all useful, especially Scotland being a punching bag for England. After increasing my development of the country and getting ready for war, it began. I planned to take out the Irish miner Ulster quickly, and also take Pale since it was a war goal. Provided my ally Scotland could hold out, I saw no reason why I wouldn't be able to take the provinces I needed to form Ireland. Despite having a good army in terms of quality, I was heavily outnumbered and so got mercenaries, in case England was able to overrun me on the island. Although it took a long time, England eventually ran out of resources and had no chances to make gains against me. One thing I have to say was crucial was the military tech advantage I had. Even though I had no naval superiority, England wasn't able to overrun me and take me out on the island. Eventually, I was able to take 3 provinces off England in 1464, almost going bankrupt in the process. Now I had to recover. The Irish provinces tend to be relatively low in income, and it certainly was difficult to recover financially. I also conquered the whole of Ireland in 1472, taking out my old ally, Offaly. So now that I had conquered Ireland, my plan was to wait until an opportunity opened up, either for me to take Scotland or England. Given the fact Scotland had taken a battering by the English troops, the troop count was low, and they were ripe for a taking. In 1482, therefore, I swept through Scotland, taking 3 provinces in the peace deal, in order to prevent England from getting stronger and taking out Scotland. Perhaps this could have been an easy campaign, but what I saw in the south of England frightened me. The baguette-loving people had arrived on the British shores, and France had taken London from themselves, after obliterating England. Although in some sense this was a good thing, since it weakened my enemy, if I wanted the luck of the Irish achievement, it was about to get a whole lot harder. After recovering once more, I decided to speed down south and conquer England again. As time went on, even with the extra provinces, it became really clear to me that I was struggling financially, and it certainly made it difficult for me to fight in long drawn out wars with a limited amount of income. After defeating England a second time in 1493, I made the 2 vassals of Northumberland and Wales. Again I attacked England once more once our truce was up, but it was more costly for me this time. Although I took 2 provinces, my loans were reaching boiling point, so I decided to just go bankrupt, despite initially feeling it wouldn't be so bad. This line of thought was proving wrong, when an internal conflict disaster and civil war were on the rise, meaning I had to steady the ship once more. Having no legitimacy really did hurt, so always take that into consideration when going bankrupt. This event definitely delayed the progress of my campaign, and France was continuing to take more provinces of England in the British Isles. I was eventually strong enough to fight England again, conquering more land from the English in 1528. This allowed me to bounce back and avert any potential crisis that could have happened. For the next 30 years, I was strong enough to steamroll both England and Scotland, conquering province after province. By the end of 1545, I had virtually wiped out England and Scotland as any potential threat, meaning I had one last challenge to deal with, for baguette-loving France. Having really only France to deal with, I began to prepare for war. However, my vassals became rebellious, and France decided to support their independence. This, as you can imagine, significantly weakened me. But despite being declared on, I won the Independence War, and took London and Oxford from France in the 1550s. Even when the coalition war was fired, no one could compete with me, given the fact I was able to protect myself on the British Isles, and no armies could simply flood across without having me to deal with. After forming Ireland, defeating England, and integrating Wales in 1574, I was in great shape. Using the help of Spain during this time, I continued to grow on the British Isles, and conquered the last remaining provinces one by one, allowing me to eventually get the achievement by 1620. Thank you guys for watching. If you want more of this sort of content, then let me know, and make sure to subscribe. I'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.